In my little booth, I have like a bunch of molecules, and I think I've made them like copyable and transferable, and everyone's welcome to have copies of everything I've made. There's a gold nanoparticle floating in the middle. There's a enterobactin molecule right on the let's see, the right side. There's a molecular wire from my talk a couple of weeks ago, and then there's like some molecular orbital stuff. One of the things I really love about Second Life is the ability to visualize objects. So most of these structures are from X-ray data that is in free databases, right? Freely accessible databases. Sorry, I just got ink spilled all over me from somewhere. Freely accessible databases that can be processed with freely accessible data. It does take a little bit of processing to get stuff in, but then you know, it's in permanently in Second Life. So feel free to do copies. I do have a little thing of orbitals on the let's see, right-hand side front, and that is moving around. That's not the focus for today. That just kind of shows how the different places that electrons can go on transition metal atoms, things like iron, how those split in energy because of geometry. And that can be followed up with from a older talk. What I did want to talk about today was, let me go and stand over on it. Okay, and I'm in mouse view. Let me go stand on it. I wanted to talk about this thing today, what I'm standing on. It's a little object. And I've been thinking about how to present in Second Life. I love the presentation screens that we all use. They have a lot of wonderful capabilities, but I've built my own for a very short presentation on the SN2 reaction in organic chemistry. It's really easy to understand if you see it in action. So I'll leave this out for later on, but let me do the driving for now. And basically it's a scripted object, and what I can do is click on it and create my first slide, and there's my first slide. And the slide is also a scripted object. If I, whoops, Max, I'm going to have you stand back a little bit because you are inside a methyl iodide molecule. This is a carbon that's got 3 hydrogens attached and an iodine attached. I happen to apply the Second Life library orange texture to the iodine, so it is a giant orange. Even iodine probably be better off as purple. And so we're going to see what happens with a special type of reaction that this molecule undergoes. Methyl iodide is not something that you want to have in your home or body or something. It's you know, one of those. It's called an alkyl halide. It's pretty much cancer in a jar. So here in Second Life, you can be exposed to it and you know, basically be safe. All right, I'm going to go with my second slide now, and let's see, we'll clear the model. Yep, there we go. And essentially, here's my second slide. SN2. Here's some jargon for you. Bimolecular nucleophilic substitution. Well, bimolecular means we're going to have two molecules involved in our reaction. We're going to have an OH minus, right? Just hydroxide. What you get when you take a hydrogen atom away or a hydrogen nucleus away from water. And it's going to attack this methyl iodide, and what it does is it kicks out the I minus. And it does this by attacking the opposite face of the carbon from the iodide. Now I've got a animation of that. Okay, so clicking on this guy, that's the animation. So sorry, I've kind of pushed you away a little bit. Let me clear the model, delete it, and then what will happen is that the methyl iodide and the OH minus will manifest, will res. The OH minus will come in, and as it comes in, the hydrogens around the carbon move away and the iodine moves far away. So click that again. You can kind of see that happening. There it is, and it's complete. Very simple reaction, but there's consequences to this reaction. Okay? I'm going to clear the model. I'm going to go to my next slide. Click. Well, that's the same slide. Because I didn't go to the next slide, I need to be more aware of what I'm doing. Give me a sec. Delete, we'll do that, and then new, and then I'm on slide 3. There's only 4 slides. So, let's see, when that reses, I can see. Here's the thing. As those hydrogens around the carbon flip around, if you could tell them apart, you know, originally in the methyl iodide, if you could tell these hydrogens apart, you might label them 1, 2, 3 going clockwise. But after they flip around, the 1, 2, 3 with the OH in the back now would be counterclockwise. But we have this thing that's technically called inversion of stereochemistry. But the bottom line is that we change a left-handed molecule into a right-handed molecule. Right? So I've got the same animation as before, but I've put colors on the hydrogens. Okay, so they kind of see what happens there with the carbons, or with the carbon. You know, basically, you know, the hydrogens just move back away from the OH, but because they're kind of pointing backwards now, they're, you know, originally, if you had the iodide in the back, you'd be going one way, going blue, green, yellow. But then if you put the OH in the back, after the reaction, blue, green, yellow would be going the other way. All right, so let's clear that, clear the model. Let me go to my last slide here. Yes, click. And then my last slide comes here. And you know, essentially a slide is the picture of what's going to res here. And so you can kind of see on the left is the original methyl iodide, and yellow, blue, green goes clockwise. Oh, I'm sorry. On the left is the product. So that clockwise yellow, blue, green is reversed from the starting material, which is on the right. Yellow, blue, green is going counterclockwise. Right? So this SN2 reaction is one where you would expect to see this inversion of stereochemistry. And so looking at if a molecule has a left-handed form or a right-handed form is something that we can do. Pasteur was able to do it, you know, in the 1850s. It's very easy technology to follow reactions, and this type of thing allows us to figure out some very cool details about reactions. So, let's see, let me clear everything. So this little base I have here, contains the scripts. I actually, because there was some discussion about this last week. Whoops, no, oh, come on. I want to move this object. Okay, well, let me go into the back of my, move my gold nanoparticle out of the way. And let me walk to the back. You can see two boxes way in the back here. There's one with Lily of the Valley next to me that says I contain scripting information about the controller. And then there's another one with daylilies on it. That's script details for slides and objects. So I put the scripts for all the objects in as note cards, so anyone who's interested in kind of working on this type of thing can copy those, and you can copy the presentation as well. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've wanted to make these scripts and stuff available to you. Some of them I have gotten off the internet. The menu stuff is pretty basic, but the script that moves the objects is from me. But yeah, let's see, I'll take a look at questions. I think people seem pretty happy, and at this point, that's what I've got to say, and I'll stop so we can try to get back on schedule.
Great work, Mike. Amazing. Wonderful. The applause is yours. Okay, we are moving on. We are going to Ariel's booth. Ariel Bowman's. We go clockwise after Mike. So let's hear it, Ariel. We are yours.
Okay. Hi everyone, thanks for coming. My exhibit is a little bit different to everyone else's. I'm really hopeless with Second Life technology. What I've done today is I've created an exhibit of my sister's work, who is looking at, is a really good example of how you can use AI to develop art projects in the physical world. So she is looking at the relationship between scientific knowledge production and medical diagnosis with mental health, and she's currently going on to study that further. Myself, I'm currently interested in AI governance and catastrophic risks, so that's really what I want to try and talk about a bit more today. You can find my sister's bio in the links of the exhibit as well, and also I've put some free courses that are currently being used in various domains in the UK and the US about the coming transformation with AI. So the first thing I would like to think about is how AI is already shaping your daily life in ways in which you might not even realize, all of us. So for example, currently your phone's camera automatically enhances photographs for you, Netflix recommends what you want to watch next, and your GPS finds the fastest route home, and banks use AI to detect fraud on your credit card, basic things like that. But what's actually changing, AI systems are becoming dramatically more powerful, and they're being deployed in areas that affect all of us, from healthcare decisions, job hiring, criminal justice, and even military applications. And the big question really is, are we all prepared for what comes next? So what do we mean by AI governance? AI governance sounds complicated, but really it's actually quite simple. It's about making sure AI systems work for everyone, not just for the people who actually build them. So if we can think about it, the way I try to think about it is, if we think about it like traffic rules, for example, powers are already incredibly useful, but without traffic lights, speed limits, and safety regulations, they'd be dangerously and chaotic. So AI is similar, powerful and beneficial, but only if we have the right rules and safeguards in place. So overall, AI governance includes safety standards for AI systems, rules about how AI can be used, making sure AI decisions are fair and transparent, and ensuring people have control over AI that affects their lives. Because AI, why does this really matter to any of us? But because AI decisions are increasingly affecting all job prospects, healthcare, financial services, and access to information. So the scale of this challenge of what we're all going to experience is different. The speed of development of AI are different from any of the previous technologies we've had. They are faster than almost any technology in history. What seemed impossible 5 years ago is now routine. Unlike previous innovations and affected specific industries, AI is being deployed everywhere simultaneously, from your smartphone to nuclear power plants. And this includes the automation of thinking. For the first time, we're creating machines that can perform cognitive tasks we thought only humans could do. Diagnosing diseases, writing code, making strategic decisions. Just 3 years ago, AI couldn't write a coherent essay. Today, AI systems can pass professional exams, write computer code, and even create art that win competitions. The challenge is our laws, institutions, and social norms were designed for a world where only humans could think and make complex decisions. We need to update these laws and institutions fast. And what could go wrong? So if we understand the risks, let's talk about what catastrophic AI risks actually means. Using examples, so we could have bias and discrimination that we've got, but at scale. So if you imagine an AI system used for hiring that's biased against certain groups, now imagine that a system is used by thousands of companies simultaneously. Discrimination that once affected individual companies now affects entire populations. There is a great risk of loss of human agency. Picture a world where AI systems make the most important decisions, what medical treatment you receive, whether you get a loan, what information you see. If these systems aren't designed properly, humans could lose meaningful control over their own lives. But also huge economic disruption. AI might automate jobs faster than new ones are created, potentially leaving millions unemployed without adequate social support systems. There's misinformation and manipulation. AI can now create fake videos, images, and text that are nearly impossible to distinguish from reality. This could undermine trust in information and democratic processes. And this is the most important one, I think, is the alignment problem. This is the big problem. As AI systems become more powerful, there is a risk they might pursue goals that seem aligned with what we want, but actually aren't. Think of a GPS that gets you to your destination fastest by directing you through dangerous neighborhoods. It's technically doing what you asked, but not really what you wanted. So why is this problem one of the hardest problems to solve? It's like regulating the internet in 1995. We're trying to create rules for technology that's still rapidly evolving. What we regulate today might be obsolete tomorrow. There's global competition. Countries and companies are racing to develop the most advanced AI. No one wants to slow down and risk being left behind, even for safety reasons. There's technical complexity. Most of our leaders in government and business don't fully understand AI technology. How do you regulate something you don't understand? Speed mismatch. AI development happens in Silicon Valley time, but governance happens in government time, years. By the time a law is passed, that technology has already moved on. And the unprecedented nature. We've never had to govern technology that could potentially become more capable than humans at thinking and decision-making. Real-world example. The EU spent developing AI regulations, but by the time they were finalized, ChatGPT had already changed the landscape. So what good governance could look like? It could be proactive and not reactive. Instead of waiting for problems to occur, we need safety standards before AI systems are deployed, like how we test medicines before they reach patients. Transparent and accountable. You should be able to know when AI is making decisions about you and have some way to appeal or understand those decisions. And inclusive. The people affected by AI systems should have a voice in how they're governed. This isn't just a job for tech companies and governments. Governance frameworks need to adapt as technology evolves, not lock us into outdated rules. And AI development is global, so governance needs to be too. We need countries working together, not just competing. So what's happening now, right now? The European Union has just passed the world's first comprehensive AI law. The US government has created new offices, so has the UK government, on AI safety particularly. Tech companies are making voluntary commitments to AI safety. International organizations are starting to coordinate on AI governance. We're still on the early stages at the moment. The US government is spending more on AI than it has on nuclear technology and ever in history. So we're about to see a paradigm shift in the way we reorganize our lives. And much of the focus is on AI systems at the moment, not the more advanced systems which are coming in the future. So we're essentially learning to govern AI while it's being built and deployed. And it's kind of like trying to design traffic laws while cars are speeding down a highway. Why should you care about any of this? This isn't just a tech issue. It's about the kind of future we want to live in, your job. AI will likely affect your career, whether it's through automation, AI-assisted tools, or new job categories we haven't imagined yet. Your community. AI systems are already making decisions about policing, education funding, and social services. AI affects what information you see, how political campaigns can reach you, and even how votes might be counted. And really, this is about your children's future. The AI decisions we make today will shape the world your children grow up in. And we have some time to influence how AI develops, but that window won't stay open forever. You don't need to be a tech expert to make a difference. You need to stay informed, learn about AI developments and their implications. Understanding the basics makes you more of an informed person. Engage locally. Many AI governance decisions happen at the city or in the states at the state level by town halls. Contact representatives, join discussions. Ask questions when you encounter AI systems at work, in apps and services. Ask how do they work and what rights do you have? And support good governance, kind of vote for leaders who take AI governance seriously and support organizations working on these issues, and be part of the conversation. AI governance isn't just for experts. Your perspective as someone who lives with these technologies always matters. And consider your career. There are now growing opportunities in AI policy, ethics, and governance for people with diverse backgrounds, not just technical ones. So we stand at a crossroads. The path we choose will determine whether AI becomes one of humanity's greatest achievements or its greatest challenge. The good news is that we still actually have some agency over what's coming. We can shape how AI develops and how it's governed. And the urgency, we need to act now while we still have the opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive. And it's not just about slowing down progress, it's about ensuring that progress benefits everyone. So really, everyone's voice matters and participation matters, and the future is now for ours to shape. Thank you, sorry. And I hope everyone heard that. I'm not sure whether everyone did or not.
Wonderful, Ariel. I really appreciate the fact that you pay attention to this matter. And I'm going to ask if you want to present in the next term, September, December, somewhere, for a full hour on this, because I think we can all use it. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to Son, the next person to present. So clockwise again, moving over to Liz and Fran.
And thanks for stopping by our exhibit. I'm Lisanna Wisdom Seeker, director of the nonprofit Ageless Mind Project and Whole Brain Health, its experiential learning arm in Second Life. We host over 20 programs and offer more than 30 self-guided learning spaces across Inspiration Island and Bay. Everything we do is designed to support emotional, cognitive, and physical well-being, all grounded in current research.
Hi, I think you covered it pretty well. I missed out on part of this because I had to relog myself. But yeah, we used this quite a few places on Inspiration Island and Bay. We started it out in our Character Strengths Park, which is on the first level, and I think to get a really good idea of how it really works, you should visit there and try it out yourself there. See a real application of it. And I can probably put a link to a slurl to our Character Strengths Park if I can find it. Okay, well, this is a slightly different one, but it's, I think it all takes you to the same place. Yeah, that's a good idea. This Welcome Center is probably the logical first place to start.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully people are hearing me. Excellent. So, yeah, yet another year, yet another great science fair. What I have set up here in my booth is largely a highlight of two things. I presented last week, and I've presented in various forums, my population genetics simulator that is hosted up the platform above by the river, something that you can go and interact with at any time. There are note cards, explanatory PDFs that are linked up there. And so that's what you see on the right-hand side here, and I'll pop in, maybe focus your attention a little bit to the right-hand side. I put up here a slide board with my slides from last week. And what I can do is put up some additional note cards and everything related to that. I don't want to belabor that point again today. There's one on genome, and that has been incorporated into Max's classrooms and learning lessons. There's also one at the Nova Community College, Northern Virginia, that Dodge Philbeards has Dodge Freebeards has incorporated into their online biology lab curriculum. It's something that was developed to really be interactive, take advantage of Second Life, and it's something you can do casually, just to kind of get a sense of how evolution works, how we as scientists generate the knowledge base to tell us how evolution works as well. And so that's also the video. There's a very nice short video that's on YouTube. That's in the media board that's there in the middle of the booth. The last things to bring your attention to, as you look towards the left-hand side, there's a battery of my recent talks. I like to try and give a sense of the types of things I talk about and the history I have with presenting at Science Circle. Also, in the middle, right behind me, something called Heroes Caffeine Reser. You can feel free to take a copy of that. There was a very nice presence of the American Chemical Society in the early days here in Second Life. And he made an object that allows you, if you input it with the right information, which you have to derive from outside Second Life, it can make any small compound that you want. So if you feel free to just right-click on that, take a copy. He made the scripts freely available, no no intellectual property restrictions on them. And although I think some of the ways of doing it on the Mac are lost, you'd have to try and go back and find the techniques. But if you need a fix of caffeine, if you really need a fix of caffeine at any given time in Second Life, this caffeine resor, it's got you covered. All right, the very last thing I want to feature is, I'll put this in local chat, is Linden Labs is experimenting with something known as the character generator. It's a type of scripted agent where you can take a avatar in Second Life and then log it in via a web interface. And this web interface includes giving that scripted agent a personality, a behavior set, standard responses in order to give it and drive how it interacts with you. Now, again, every single IM you initiate with one of these is from scratch. It doesn't. You can't say, "Hey, refer to Ariana who's standing in front of me." It doesn't. It has not got to that level yet. But you can have an IM, and what it uses, there's a pull-down menu of various AI engines that can drive that dialogue. And so what I have is for both Faux Darwin as well as the Science Circle Cat. Been experimenting with these. If you IM them, you can ask a question. Well, you can have any conversation you want. But what I've done with Faux Darwin is I've given him the personality, in theory, of Charles Darwin himself. And in theory, is only supposed to know the knowledge base. I've told him to only know the knowledge base since 1882, which was the year of his death. However, these AI engines don't recognize time context, so he does a very good job of describing things that he wrote or has written about him or in letters about Darwin's life that is available to the public, but he'll still answer you with a modern-day answer. And what you can do is also compare any question you ask him to what the Science Circle Cat says. The Science Circle Cat is just a modern-day cat who can tell you anything you want, although my understanding of its training set is only up to 2023, so don't ask it anything in the last year. Yeah, so Syzygy mentions, and if you look at this on the Linden Labs FAQ about it, it will, it's not perfect, and it can have delayed responses. Sometimes you need to type twice or even rephrase the question to get a good answer. And I see that, yes, Syzygy has put in an answer to one of his queries. Yeah, like if you ask him a comparison of something that was contextually something he knew about, that's a really good example. And so you can see that this answer is given something probably very similar to what Darwin might have said. But again, I've asked it about Mendel, and it gives answer about the stuff that Darwin never knew. So anyway, I put these here out and available. Sometimes we need to use the Science Circle Cat as a publishing agent for the Science Circle, but I will leave these out here for a little while. And if anybody ever wants a tour of my population genetics simulator, I can do that one-on-one. Just let me know. And with that, I will just say thanks for coming, and I think we can move on to the next one. Yeah, thanks for enjoying it. Yeah, thanks for testing out the bots, too.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm going to try and do this very quickly so that I think Sun has some time to prepare. Present, sorry. So this was inspired by the movie Hidden Figures. There's a scene in the movie in which Katherine Johnson, who's a mathematician at NASA, she was working on calculating the trajectory of the path of the spaceship Friendship 4. That's Glenn Johnson's spacecraft. And she actually used all mathematics. That's Euler's method, which is a method that you use to solve like first-order equations. So it's a very simple first-order numerical integration technique. So after seeing that scene, I was thinking a lot about how we could sort of simulate these things in Second Life. But one of the difficulties that we have in Second Life is that, Linden's, the scripting language that's used in Second Life, LSL scripting, it's very limited. The amount of memory that it can process, the amount of processing that it can do as far as mathematics is concerned, all these things are very much very limited. And so I was thinking about the possibility of using an external system which has the compute to calculate things like orbital trajectories to then calculate the orbit of, not say the orbit, but rather the descent velocity and position of a simple capsule. And to that end, what I managed to do is I managed to make it work on my computer, and it's currently running on my computer. So this orbital trajectory thing is repeating. It's sending positions to this object, this capsule here in the middle of the map in Second Life. And the capsule is basically requesting for information about the position of these orbits. So it's simulating this orbit in succession in repetition. So I am going to show you what this looks like in my computer. If you can access it on Microsoft Teams, although that might delay us a little bit. I have this meeting link, and on this meeting link, through this meeting link, I actually have, I've shared my screen in a VS Code, which is a Python scripting sort of software that I use. And what I've done is essentially written some code that calculates the trajectory of this spacecraft. It takes into account a few things. It basically uses sorry, wait. Yeah, so it uses some very simple mathematics to calculate the drag coefficient of the aircraft with varying altitudes. It basically calculates the exponential decay of the ramp cost. And so it also uses formulas like the gravitational acceleration. It's somewhat very limited. It's a very simplified model. Doesn't take into account things like the mechanics that's used by the spacecraft itself to, alter its trajectory and things like that. It's not taking into account things like energy loss. So it is a very simple model. But what's happening now is VS Code is effectively, or rather my computer, is effectively updating the position of the aircraft. It's providing that to Second Life, and a script in that spacecraft is basically requesting for this position at different intervals. The time second is it's a 10-second interval between every position move. And then from there, it then tells my computer, okay, from here, can you please update the trajectory, give me the next point. And then that sends it back to, Second Life. So, in that sense, I was thinking about the prospects that this allows us, that this has in education in Second Life. If you want to use SL as a sandbox for things like robotics and stuff, this is a very nice way to use an external party, another computer, to, instead of deploying something like an Arduino or a material like a physical robot, we could use an agent in the world, and we could send that agent different things like position, coordinates. We could get feedback from that agent regarding its position, and then we could, give it instructions to do certain things. And by doing that, I think there's a vast possibility of simulations that we can do without having to depend so much on the compute that's available in this world. And I also think it's a very nice way to demonstrate, physics. There are open APIs available for getting bits of information. If you notice, there's another marker. I think you'll also see this marker at the International Spaceflight Museum. So what that is it's effectively getting the live position of the International Space Station. It's publicly available, and then it updates it, and then the Linden script basically just maps it to a location in this, flattened surface, that representation that I have there. So, yeah, this is actually quite easy to do. I did it in a span of, I think, about 24 hours because I did it at the last minute. But this is effectively my project. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, so I have been appointed by the powers that be to announce the winner of the Moon Base naming contest. So let me pull up a little piece of information here. So I'm going to talk about, let's see, I'll mention the names that were in the running. Let's see, there were a number of names. One was Opia. I found that one to be particularly interesting. It has to do with someone's first impressions when seeing something. But anyway, Opia, Second Home, there was Selene, Artemis, Luna 1, Mare Haven, Second Home I've already mentioned. So the points have been tallied by Phil, and the second runner-up is Luna 1. Congratulations for that. The first runner-up is Artemis, the goddess of hunting. She's also associated with the moon. But the winner is Selene, which is the Greek goddess of the moon. She was apparently the daughter of Titans Hyperion and Thea, and seems like an appropriate name for a moon base. The winner is Sumo, Natalie Foster, and she receives the 5,000 lindens. Congratulations to Sumo and Natalie.